Welcome to Stories We Love. I'm the hostess of Stories We Love. Stories We Love is about people who are doing really good in the world, and it's meant to remind you that there is good in the world, remind you that there are people that are doing good in the world, and maybe inspire you in case you want to do more good in the world. If you want. Today, I get to see my friend Scott Fifer. Don't know what we're going to talk about, but this is the second time he's been on my show because he works with an organization that I love called the Go Campaign, which Go stands for Giving Opportunities, and it's taking care of children all over the world. And you can go on the Go website, and Scott's going to give it to you. And Scott, take it away.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. By the way, I call you Fifer.
You do.
And I tried to say Scott, but your name is Scott Fifer, and I just call you Fifer. Okay, go ahead.
People call me Fifer.
Yeah.
Hi, and happy holidays to everyone watching. Thanks for having me again. This is my second time talking to you, and the charity website. Let's just give that now for people who maybe get a phone call and have to run away. We want them to know where to go. GoCampaign.org.
Yeah.
Campaign.org.
GoCampaign.org. Right.
And Karen was there when it started 16 years ago. So you know the whole scene, how it's grown from helping 20 children in Africa to over 198,000, I think we are now, 190,000 kids across the world, including the United States, from East LA to East Africa, Harlem to Haiti, all over the world.
I love it.
So it's kind of fun today because you said, hey, let's talk. Let's do some stories we love. But I was traveling and so you don't know you're like, what are we talking about? So let's, Karen, what do you think? I thought there's three things we could talk about.
Okay.
How do you feel about talking about small acts of kindness?
Love that.
Is that all right? Let's start with that.
Okay.
Because I think it's just, people can, you can sometimes feel overwhelmed about, you don't know how to help or you don't know where to help. And you also think that, maybe I can't fix that, my small contribution, it's not really going to add up. And I just like to tell people not to be overwhelmed by that. And because, Karen, that every smile that you give somebody, what the ripple effects, that might change somebody's entire day, right? And so the same is true in my field and like dealing with, giving opportunities to children around the world. The smallest acts of kindness can have incredible ripple effects and can go on, even longer than you imagine. And so I think that's something nice to remember in our daily lives, like, whether it's bringing cookies to a neighbor or just, there are little things that everyone can do. I don't think there's, you can offer a smile to anyone on the street, right? So I think we should always just be aware of our own power in that. Like, we have the power to create those ripple effects. And then on our scale, like just a small, like the $50, like if somebody donates $50, I have friends who have said to me like, oh, I didn't donate to Go Campaign this year because $50 isn't going to help you, and that's just not the truth. The truth is that the $50 donors, the $100, the $5 donors, these small donors for charities, mid-sized charities, my size, they're the backbones of our organization. They are because when you add all that up, think about the collective power of those small donations. But if you get people who start thinking negatively, like, oh, my $5 won't help, or my $50 won't help, or my 100, then you suddenly lose all that potential, and we lose the ability to impact so many children. And unfortunately, this year, wealthy people, I've been reading about the statistics of giving, toward this time of year, people are looking at how people have been giving this year. And the big donors are still giving to big charities, like the wealthy philanthropists of the world are still giving. But the people at the $50 level and the $5 level, the $100 level have been a little reticent this year. I don't know, for whatever reasons. And so I think it's important to remember that it has so much power. I mean, it's just so impactful. It's like, it's like people who think that, what is it, like the deadliest, they're like, well, what good? It's a little mosquito. What can it do? But of course, it causes malaria all over the world. This tiny little thing. Well, on the reverse, that's a negative impact. On the reverse, the positive side, a $5 donation can have this kind of what's that physics term when like the snowball's going down the hill?
Momentum.
Yes, like the momentum that that causes, and then the impact that that can have, and then the ripple effect, like throwing a stone in the lake, and then
Mhm.
the circles of impact. So, and I've seen that personally, and even in terms of we give out grants around the world to help children in need. We did one during the pandemic in London because London was suffering that time just like the rest of the world, and some of our donors said we'd really like to help the poorer communities in London where people don't have access to food during the pandemic and families were cut off. And so we funded a program there, just a one-time program to help them do food delivery and get food to families who needed it during the pandemic. And that was it. Well, that in itself has had a ripple effect because the families, they decided they wanted to do more than just deliver food. They really wanted to continue with a sense of community, and they really wanted to work on the mental well-being and make everybody happy. And so it wasn't just about giving food. And so they started this program called, it was like a virtual cooking classes and kids in the kitchen. So they got the kids on the Zoom with the parents and the organization, our local hero there, and they started doing these Zooms. And it proved to provide such a great sense of community that it really helped the parents of these individual families bond, and especially during that time during the pandemic when people were a bit stressed out. And so now things are back to normal there, but they've continued the program, and the parents are running it, so it doesn't require any more funding from Go Campaign. And the parents are now still meeting. I think it's every 2 weeks, and they're naming recipes. Each kid brings their own recipe, and so they're like Agnes's lasagna and Joe's spaghetti and meatball, and they're all still sharing. So it's providing that sense of well-being, the mental health, but also learning about how to eat healthy and nutrition. And that's now continued on their own. So that was born out of this sort of emergency pandemic grant, but then they found a way to turn that around, and now it's going on, doesn't require any further funding. So, and then, we funded that from people who were able to donate $100 during the pandemic for emergency need, or $50 or $1,000 or $5, and that is still now having ripple effects. So imagine all those families that have benefited from that and continue to benefit from that, and the families that are getting to know each other, and like who knows what's happening, ripple effects from those stories that we'll never know about, right? And so I think that I always like to remember stuff like that, about how we don't even know the ripple effects of the kindness that we're doing, but one small act can make a big difference, don't you think?
Absolutely. I've had so many people say, "Oh my God, you made my day," just by smiling, giving them something, because I see beauty in everyone. So if I just say, "Oh my God, you've got such beautiful eyes and skin and hair. Wow, you're so beautiful," and then they'll be like, "Wow, you made my day. I was having a really bad day." In fact, one time this guy was walking past me and I didn't even say anything. I just smiled at him, and he came back like 10 minutes, knocked on my door, and said, "I was thinking of killing myself. Your smile made me realize that there was hope." And I didn't say anything. I blessed him mentally, but he said something came over me and I just knew I had to come back and tell you. And then he came back again a couple days later and brought me a little gift. And it was like, and it was so sweet, because you're right, anything that you do that is a giving of yourself, and giving from your heart, whether it's money or whether it's a smile or whether it's a praise, it's or a hug, whatever it is, you're literally transforming people. And we know that giving creates oxytocin. When you give something to someone else,
Yeah.
it raises your oxytocin, it raises your feeling of well-being in yourself, and it raises your capacity to feel confident and to feel connected, and which is part of what oxytocin does. It's the bonding and the connection and that sense of well-being hormone or neurotransmitter. And it's just so beautiful how what you're talking about, it is the ripple effect. We are all connected. So every time anybody does anything that benefits themselves or benefits another person, it creates this beautiful benefit to everyone involved. I bet you even the people who weren't giving the food or who weren't receiving the food, I bet you they were happier and friendlier with their community around them as well. So it creates a bigger ripple effect than we can even imagine.
100%. And yeah, and it's just I think it's I was Googling Go Campaign recently because I like to just check and see if there's anything that I don't know about my own organization. You know, it's always good to
Yeah.
always Google. Never know what someone's saying about you. And I luckily found only good things, nothing bad. But one of the things I found was a blog from Senegal that was about two it was young men. They looked to be in their mid-20s, and they're tailors, and they're successful. And it talked about their history and how they had come from begging on the streets and had been taken in by a partner there that we had worked with. And it said at the bottom, so it talked about these two kids' stories and how, you know, they've gone on to graduate and now they've got their successful, they're both in two different tailors. And it said, thank you to Go Campaign for making this all possible. And I was like, what? And so this was a small grant we gave 10 years ago. Small grant. It was probably a $6,000 grant, $7,000 grant. Again, made up by people who donated $5, $10, $15 to Go Campaign. And now 10 years later, it is still having ripple effects. And here's these two breadwinners for families, and these handsome young men are out there designing clothes for, you know, and sewing clothes and tailoring. And it was just, again, the ripple effects that I didn't even know about. Like this, you know, this is a grant that we gave. So we've been doing this for 16 years. So imagine all that's going on in the world that I have no idea about. And that's exactly what you want, right? That's the kind of, like, you know, you giving that smile to that man, like he's going to go on and give a smile to somebody else, and these reverberations are happening all over the world that you and I don't need to know about. But the fact that we can start them, right? We can light the match and ignite that. And so that's what Go Campaign, we try to provide that opportunity, because we've worked in over 40 countries. We work in all parts of the US. We let people say, put my money towards girls, or put my money towards India, put my money towards environmentally friendly projects, or we let the donors sort of tell us what they want, or they can just say, here's money for the greatest need, whatever whatever is most urgent right now. But that's, we give, because a lot of people want to do something good, but they don't know exactly how, right? Like, oh, I want to help. And again, things can seem like, you know, trying to cure malaria could be an overwhelming, like, that, how am I going to do that? The good news is you don't have to do that. You don't have to solve the big problems of the world today, because these small acts of kindness can completely change the life of one family, one community. And that, again, the ripple effects, and it just grows and grows. So I think it's just important not to underestimate the power of a small gift, the power of a small act of kindness.
Yeah. And also, you know, in a lot of countries, $5 is, you know, something you want to dance for. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's not, and also I want to say, I don't know if people use Amazon, but they do have a thing that you can donate to a charity called Amazon Smile. And so there's a portion of whatever you buy through Amazon Smile
Yes.
that will go to that charity. And so
All people need to do is go to smile.amazon.com instead of going to amazon.com. So you just have to, and then you just save it in your computer and on your phone, and you can make a one-time, and then it says select it. So it's smile.amazon.com, and it's the same Amazon but it's just the way you enter. And then they give a small percentage. You choose your charity, and then it's selected, and you don't have to think about it anymore. And then they donate a very small portion. But again, that could add up if everybody, you know, did that. So Go Campaign is on there if anybody wants to go in there. It's kind of fun to do. And then you can, gives you more excuses to shop.
Yeah, I want to go back on something you mentioned. You said local heroes. And just if you haven't watched the other episode where we talked more in depth, one of the things that I love about Go Campaign is that you don't come in and overtake a community. You find somebody who's already doing something good, and you support them in doing that good. Can you talk more about local heroes? And also, not to confuse you, but I think this, like, it seems like a lot of the local heroes, they start with you, but they're also teaching the community things that, so that it's not, you're not giving them a fish, you're teaching them how to fish. So talk about both those things, if you will.
100%. Yeah. So our model that has developed over the years is that we invest in local heroes who we define as people in the community who are dedicating their lives to improving the lives of children and young adults in their communities. And the good thing about that is they were already doing that before they met us. And so they're going to be doing it after they meet us. So they're not going to become dependent on Go Campaign. We're not their inspiration. We're not their only source of, they were doing this before, they're going to do it after. But we are there to lift them up. I almost see them as like startups, like they have these incredible, that can then flourish. Some of our local heroes are CNN heroes or have gone on to become CNN heroes. One won a Nobel Peace Prize. And others are small, unsung school teachers in the mountains of Peru or, in Mississippi in a small little county where there's, no buses to get to school. And I mean, there's our local hero can be anywhere, right? That's the beauty of it. And so we find and invest in these people's dreams. And we don't ever go in and say, hey, we're going to give you a library or we're going to give you a water well or no, we just go in and we listen. So we go in with big ears and a big heart is what I like to say. And because that's what we do. And then we help them and we'll share ideas and we'll introduce them to other people. And so we do a lot more than just give money because we want to make sure that their dreams are sustainable and they can achieve all that they want to do. So that's our definition of a local hero. And then what was your second point? It was about the
teaching them how to fish as opposed to just giving them a fish.
Well, 100%. And so we don't during the pandemic, we did food programs, emergency food and some emergency schooling. But normally we don't do things like school fees and we don't do food or meals or school meals because that goes on forever and you'd be having to support that forever. You always need that. But what we will do is do income generating programs so that they can then grow their, make their own income, or we'll build a classroom because a lot of places, maybe all they need is the physical structure. They have the teachers and the community is willing to pay for the school fees but they just don't have a building. And so we'll do that. And so we always, whenever we make a grant, it's always in mind about like, all right, 5 years from now, who's going to be benefiting from this and how many kids are going to help. And so our local heroes are really one of the things that we look for, and then we say that we want them to be pioneering. And so they're really not just thinking about the 10 kids or the 100 kids in their care. They're thinking about the problem. They're thinking about the issue. Why is this happening? And how could this be replicated? Or how can we make sure that this, issue is solved and doesn't come back? So it really is, the programs are really more about giving people the opportunity and giving children the opportunity and communities the opportunity to lift themselves up by their bootstraps, if you will, and to have the skills that they need to continue on past the life of the grant. So I think we talked about the Gabriella Center last time, which is a big project of ours in Tanzania for special needs children. And that's exactly what Brenda is doing there. She's teaching kids. These are kids who were cast away and were thought of worthless and often sometimes put to death, unfortunately. But she's out there with the kids, having them in fashion shows and doing plays in the community and music events, so that the community is like, oh, these kids really, wow, I didn't realize. And she's teaching them it's not contagious. There's no devil worship involved in being a person with autism. Like there's a lot of stigma that across Africa that unfortunately these children have to face. So Brenda's not just thinking about the 100 kids she has in her care, the 150, she's thinking about the thousands in Africa and how to get that story out, that the potential that these kids have. And she's teaching them how to be breadwinners. So she teaches them all to the extent that they're able, they get job skills and they go home and they become breadwinners for the family. So that's really, talk about teaching kids to fish. And that's also then changing the perception of the whole community. And so now people are seeing those kids on the streets, like selling popcorn and selling food or tailoring, and they're like, wow, I didn't know that someone with Down syndrome could have a job and could make money and could, paid the school fees for their younger sister. And so it changes the whole story. So we do look for those projects that are really have a transformational effect. There's one we're working on now in Chicago with another CNN hero. She's a retired police officer, Jennifer Maddox, a woman of color. And she's exactly the kind of person that we should be investing in at this time in our country. Like, I mean, she really just checks all the boxes in terms of she's such a dedicated, like, local hero beyond extremes. And she can relate to her community. She works in one of the most underserved neighborhoods in our country, which is on the south side of Chicago. And there's a lot of violence there, a lot of gun violence, gang violence, and it's because there are no opportunities for children there. The only opportunities kids have is to join a gang and feel like proud of something. There's not even a nice grocery store, or there's nowhere they could go. It's not like you can go to the mall or go. There's nothing for kids there. It's a desert in all kinds of, you know, ways. Food desert and program desert. Like, there's just nothing for kids to do. And so she started a small after-school program in the basement of a apartment complex there. And that's when she was still a police officer, but they were kind of wary of her because she was a police officer and they didn't really know whether they could trust her. And so she actually she lived outside in a nicer suburb of Chicago. She moved into that community, and which is not a place where a lot of people in Chicago don't even like to go to that community or drive through that community. She moved in there because she's like, hey, if I'm going to try to help these people, I need to be with them and be among them. And so she lived there, and she obviously became a beloved member of the community. And we got $1 million grant in 2020 from a Beachbody company to buy an empty Walgreens that is sitting right next to the projects there, that's sitting right on the edge. So we just bought this empty Walgreens with that grant from Beachbody. And now we have architectural plans to turn it into like the most incredible youth and community center that will help not only children and young adults flourish, but parents. It's a place where parents.
Fifer, you froze. He's back. His internet had gone out in the whole neighborhood, and now it's back.
I'm back, and I'm going to finish that story about Chicago.
And I didn't even have to change my clothes. We're 10 minutes later.
We are back, and it's such a good story because Jennifer has such dreams for this building, and it's going to include an indoor basketball court so kids can play basketball without having to get shot. Imagine not being able to send a mother who is afraid to send her son outside to play basketball on the street because he might get hit by a stray bullet. This can end. This can turn around. Jennifer has the vision. She's exactly the kind of pioneering local hero that you and I were just talking about. And so she has the dream and the vision. And so things cost more in Chicago than they cost in Africa. So this is going to be, a little bit of a harder project for us, but it has to be done, Karen. I'm one of those people, like when the Gabriella Center was going to close one day and it was a tiny little project, I was like, well, no, that means kids are going to die. Like, there's got to be another, like, come on, Brenda, what are your dreams? How can we help you? And so we just started small, but I knew we had to help Brenda in Tanzania and help save those children's lives with special needs. I feel the same way about this program in Chicago with Jennifer Maddox. And it's called the Spark Center because she wants to just create a new spark of community and life and opportunities in that neighborhood. And she can turn that neighborhood around, and a neighborhood that's been plagued for years that no one's been able to do. And I believe she's the person to do it. And so we're just going to make it happen. Like, I don't know how many years it's going to take, but every $5 donation, every $10 donation, every $10,000 donation, like, we're going to make that happen, and lives are going to change. Kids who would otherwise die are now going to be alive and go on and have those ripple effects from their lives. So it's an exciting project. And that's what we do at Go Campaign. We give these opportunities for people who say, like, how can I make a difference in the world? We have a whole portfolio of programs like that where people can do that. And so I hope people who are feeling like, I don't know how I can help, but I'd like to help during the holidays, because the third thing I wanted to talk to you about today, the first one was random acts of kindness. And then the second one was the ripple effects, domino effect of kindness in the world. And then the third one is the law of circulation, which I suspect, you and I have never discussed this, but I suspect it's something that you believe in, which says that in order to receive something, you need to give something. And so you need to if you put a smile in the world, you're going to get a smile that comes back to you. And you need to be part of this, the law of circulation in the universe. And so I've started adapting this myself. Like I figure, like, hey, I'm out there in the world trying to raise money for kids around the world, but I also need to personally give money to other causes and to other things and to help other, we're all in this together, and so I need to personally play a role in that. And so I've started making small $5, $10 donations, monthly donation, recurring donors, because we have a program at Go Campaign that we're trying to get recurring donors where people it automatically comes off your credit card, whatever amount you want, $5 a month, $5 a year, $25 a month, whatever you can afford. And then you sort of don't even notice it's on your card, and it's a nice way to give it all, but it helps a lot of charities because that's like income that then you can count on and be like, oh, we're always know we're going to get that $5 a month. And so we call them do-gooders. And so you can become a do-gooder for Go Campaign. So I've started signing up for a little, personally for other charities because if I want to get that back from the universe, I have to put it forth. And at this time of year, people are looking for tax deductions. So that's an instant karmic benefit you get right back, because if you want to lower your taxes next year, if you make a donation before December 31st at midnight, that counts. Or even if you write a check the next day and just put 12/31 on your check, it still counts. And as long as it's what's dated on the check, and if you get it in the mail within the next week or so. So if you forget on the 31st, you still have a few days where you could mail one in. But if you want to do it online by the 31st at midnight, and then you get a tax benefit. And a lot of people are looking for that by the end of the year, and they're just looking like, how can I help during this holiday season? And so we provide.
I love that. And you've talked about Jennifer in South Central. Can I ask you this? This is just my own thing. Are they also finding ways to grow food in that area, or to teach people how to grow food in their backyards or in their front yards or whatever?
Not yet, but with this new center, we'll have the space to do that. Like there's a big backyard area. There's a big parking lot area. There's also a big commercial kitchen area where they can, work with the kids and the families, because there's only fast food there. There's no Whole Foods. There's no Erewhon. There's not even there's not a decent supermarket at all. And so they don't even have good choices.
Right.
But Jennifer wants to educate them about that, and feels very strongly about that. And also about environmental issues. She wants to teach them about, the recycling and all the things that they can do in their own homes to help with the planet. So she's a real visionary. And so I think this is a big blank slate, and she's got all the dreams, and she knows exactly, she sees it in her mind, because Jennifer, I'm a big believer in building.
Yay to the people in South Central who are trusting her, and yay to the people who are helping with this. Yay. Yeah.
Outside of Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I was just saying I'm a big believer in dream building and and building your dreams. And she has an incredible dream and you need partners in that belief. And so people are like, yes. And I'm definitely a partner in that, in her beliefs. And as our donors to Go Campaign are partners in our beliefs, so it's nice.
And I have to say, this is something I've noticed about people who are not well. A lot of times, if they've been, eating right, if they've been going to doctors, if they've been trying everything and it's not working, sometimes it's because they're not following their dreams. And so I bet you this is going to make Jennifer healthier and happier, and Brenda, that you talked about at the Gabriella Center, healthier and happier, just because they are working on something that is their vision. And when you work on your vision, it is healing for you. And if your vision is just to be a benefit in any way, and you contribute to Go Campaign or something that makes your heart sing, it's going to be part of helping you get healthier. And at least from my experience of seeing that, when I started to be more generous and to give more and to experience my dreams more, to live more in my dreams, my energy increased, my health increased, my everything, my eyesight got better, my hair got thicker, it's just crazy. So following your dreams, and I love that you help build the dreams of people in other countries who see the possibility and who see these children that are needing some support, and maybe the parents as well, and these people who have the vision and that you're supporting them, to me, that's going to make you healthier, and everybody who supports you like I do makes it healthier. So it's just like it's win win win, and then our world gets healthier. And if people like Jennifer are also doing things like regenerative organic farming in that backyard, then they're teaching about how important it is to have soil health, and they're making this whole thing, and then that creates more butterflies and bees and other creatures that might have been lost in that area to come back. And it's just like it makes it, and then it makes it doable, especially if she has kids or parents that are helping. They all learn how to do it, and then they can do it in their backyard, or they can do it in the front yard. And it's just, there's so many ways that this is rippling out, and these are massive acts of kindness, and we can all do small acts of kindness as well, because every act of kindness creates it adds up, and it becomes more and more and more and more and more. And I've seen people who donate just like $5 or $1, and then they've found money, or they've found other things that help them, and then they can, it's so interesting. So I love what you're doing. I love the Go campaign. I love Jennifer. Thank you so much. I love Brenda. I love all the people I've met that have been helping kids all over the world. The music teachers, the people who needed a schoolroom, the communities around these kids that want to help these kids, because these kids are our future. These kids all over the world can learn how to survive and struggle and how hard life is, or they can learn how
to thrive
and to find a community, and to realize that the world is friendly and the world wants to help.
Yeah, and it's so easy to help. That's the message. Like, it's just so easy not to be overwhelmed by it all, but we have the power to, it's just small acts of kindness, small donations, small whatever anyone can do in their own lives, and make a big difference.
Yes, and Go Campaign is
GoCampaign.org. GoCampaign.org on the web.
And smile.amazon.com, and you can pick Go Campaign or whatever, and do your shopping on smile.amazon versus Amazon.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's the same thing. It's just a way to give while you are also receiving whatever you're wanting to.
Exactly. Law of circulation right there. You're getting something back, but you're giving at the same time, and Amazon's giving.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Fifer. I love you. I'm glad
Thank you, Karen. Happy holidays to you and everyone watching.
Happy holidays. Thanks for tuning into Stories We Love. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a magical holiday, and thank you.